So it's a very tightly run operation that has the potential to go wrong.
It is quite literally a gamble with £1 million of council taxpayers' money and with crucial local services that affect people's everyday lives.
This is my Olympic torch. I was a torchbearer on Friday the 7th of July, the last day of the torch relay. I was lucky enough to hand it to Matthew Vincent. The only reason I actually got to be a torchbearer is because I'm a young carer. I help to look after my sister, and she's disabled.
Susan's an Olympian, and in this year of the Olympics, everybody is running away with the idea that every disabled person was invited to participate in the Olympics. We had the Olympics, great, Paralympics, fantastic, but the Special Olympics, which Susan participated on over 20 years, they had no choice. There was no choice offered for Olympics for people with learning difficulties in this Olympic year of ours.
Barnet is committed to helping people remain independent for as long as possible. This is a very, very worthwhile aim, and I think anybody who is disabled or ill would support this. It says things like, and this will help us to reduce the amount of care and support needed, and this will help us make cuts.
I go to a day centre in Colindale. The council stop the buses picking us up all the time, and it's not fair. How would they feel if they're in my situation? How would they feel? They don't understand about disabled people at all. All they want to say is money, money, money all the time. And it's not fair on us.
I have a daughter of 40 years of age who has learning disabilities and autism. That's only part of her. She is also very funny, very spunky, very feisty, and in the right environment she thrives and develops and is just super company. Barnet Social Services, Adult Social Services and Health, put my daughter in a flat, a one-bedroom flat, in 2007, February 2007, and they commissioned a support service that was beyond belief. They were a bunch of cowboys. They bullied, they lied, and the support workers sat with their mobiles in her flat and watching television. There was very, very little, if no stimulation whatsoever. The only time 2 complaints were taken seriously was when I had to bring in a solicitor.
The way we have been treated makes us feel as though the senior officers and the counsellors making all the decisions about adult social care really would rather we didn't live here. You feel as though they would prefer that we were disposed of. And that is not a nice feeling to have when you have lived in the borough for many, many years.
You can't help those who won't help themselves.
What do we have a council for in that case?
I have 3 children, Lauren who's 15, Carl who's 12, nearly 13, and Jordan who's 10. Jordan has got special needs. She has triple X syndrome. Very lovely little girl. She's got her own little problems. I've been in temporary accommodation now for 11 and a half years. They are refusing to move me on the grounds that my accommodation is suitable for my needs, which it isn't. And it's really unfair for Lauren because she's got no room, she's got no privacy for herself.
When the council tried doing our boiler, they left a big hole in the wall. They didn't cover it over properly, and they left it there for over a week. And you can see a crack in there as well when they've not really done it properly. It's disgusting as well. It's all cracked.
The bad workmanship is all cracked. It really is right the way through.
When we slipped, we had to grab onto something. and we've all hurt ourselves from this. The government...
Dad fell out of the shower, didn't he?
Yeah, but I have as well. We've been in a small house. If we had an extra room in here, that'd be better. But when it's all one small house, and not enough rooms, it's all like in one little type cube or something.
My disabled daughter needs her own space and her own room, which she hasn't got because she has a lot of individual needs which cannot be met sharing a bedroom with her 15-year-old sister. Barnet Council really are useless. They don't take any notice of what I'm saying. I've tried everything in my powers to be moved. I've done everything by the book. I've told them everything, and they don't want to know. This is who I'm really fighting for. This is Jordan. Her needs need to be met, and we're struggling to do it ourselves here. And for the fact that Barnet Council actually put the rent up by 7% is ridiculous, because not everybody can afford that. You know, not everybody's in high-paid jobs. You know, a lot of us are struggling.
Right, since I was knocked down by a car last year, I haven't been going to my day centre lately on my own, because I get 3 buses to get there by myself, and it's very difficult sometimes, you know.
I'll do a little ditty if I may. The 43 bus is a mighty good bus, yes. The 43 bus is the bus to ride, yes. The 43 bus is a mighty good bus. If you go, you'll ride it, yes, you'll ride it like you'll find a ticket at the station on the 43 bus. Right? There'd been a plan for quite a while of Barnet Council to reorganise the libraries locally, and part of it was to close Friar Barnet Library.
We trusted the council. They gave us 3 months from the date that they announced the closure to provide them with a proposal that could save the library. So, of course, we beavered away on this proposal, not realizing that that 3 months was absolutely crucial if we wanted to take them to a judicial review, which we didn't know. We vaguely thought about judicial review, but we didn't know that that was the period, 3 months exactly from the time that they had announced the closure of the library. Only after we had consulted a legal firm did we discover that we were out of time, couldn't take them to a judicial review. So they must have been laughing, because they realized that they had tricked us. They hectored us the whole time about our proposal, which they glanced at, hurled on the desk, and then it gave us all the reasons why our library was going to close.
That's really a major blow to the that microeconomy of Free and Barnet's, and of course the traders are really behind us. They really want the library to be reopened because they believe it's a useful service to the community, and of course because their pockets have been hit by its closure. I think it's quite an irony that a conservative council that supposedly prides itself on promoting business has acted so greatly to the detriment of local business people.
The Occupy movement reopened this library for us, and we, the residents of Friar and Barnet, are jubilant over this. The residents have poured books in here. There are about 4,000 books, which are much, much more to our taste than anything Barnet Council was ever providing for us. Since the court case, since we won the court case to keep the Occupy movement here until December, Barnet Council has refused to negotiate. We're really hoping that they will reopen negotiations. We do not want this library, which belongs to us, to be sold out from under our feet.
People coming from abroad who used this library, and they are improving. So this library gave me hope, gave hope to my children, and when you have hope, you can make progress.
My name's Helen Michael and I own and run a cafe in North Finchley, which I consider to be the hub of the community. Nice, small, family-run cafe where everybody's welcome. I've had the business for about 6.5 years. In November 2011, Barnet Council, in their infinite wisdom, decided that they were going to do away with the pay-by-coin meters and introduced a pay-by-phone system, which left lots of people with no alternative. This was done without any consultation or notice whatsoever. We opened our businesses on I believe a Thursday morning. The pay-by-coin meters were covered over and people were expected to pay by telephone and credit cards. We watched customers or potential customers pull up along the high road, bewildered by the signs that were suddenly appearing along their high road and just get in their cars and drive away.
We're told again that cash machines are too expensive, don't work. Every other London borough, with the exception of Westminster, manages to make them work. Aspire Shopping Centre and Barnet High Street manages to make them work. Why can't Barnet Council? We do believe we're having our intelligence insulted, and there is a hidden agenda driving this, because there is no rational reason behind this madness.
And also the hike in charges. Barnet Council increased the charges from 70p an hour to £2 an hour. I understand that the Barnet parking revenue is down approximately 60%, which follows that our turnover is also down 60%. So we are all really in trouble. If I was to put my prices up tomorrow by 100%, if I'm charging £2.50 for a bacon sandwich and overnight I charge £5, I'm going to lose my customers, and that's exactly what's happening to our high roads.
2010, parking worked. There weren't complaints by the public, there weren't complaints by traders. 2011, everything changed. Meters thrown away, scrapped, £2 million worth, something like that, about £5,000 income from the scrap metal. 2012, parking is broken, copyright Mrs. Angry. The traders are up in arms everywhere, people are getting tickets everywhere. This is the first contract under One Barnet, or one of the big first contracts, to go out to a private contractor called NSL Limited. Traffic wardens now, they're too quick to issue tickets. The number of tickets issued is behind expectations, so I hear that overtime has had to be paid in order to get ticket numbers up, which isn't really the point of parking. And there's a big problem with parking tickets going missing off your car. You come back to your car, you've had a ticket, but it's not there. And that you lose the chance then to pay at the 50% off rate. Pay by phone, that doesn't work properly. It's 4 or 5 minutes before the information lands on the handheld equipment of the traffic warden. In that time, he can issue with a ticket. And vouchers aren't the solution. I was at Cafe Bus Saturday, I saw a lady come in, bought a voucher, by the time she got back to her car, she got a parking ticket. No clemency whatsoever from the traffic warden, who was only halfway through the process. They just finished it off and on their way, and no surprise that lady didn't then come in to buy a cup of coffee. This contract, it was meant to save £600,000 a year. That's what it said in Barnet First magazine. It said will save £600,000 a year. The first quarter performance report, and they've only 2 months of that were NSL instructed for. The special parking account is £1.2 million behind in the first quarter. So those savings are proving rather illusory, to say the least. Richard Cornelius, sorry, I'll wait for the hissing to stop there. Richard Cornelius talks about robust contracts. Well, they may be robustly written, but they're full of rubbish. The NSL one, which I've got a copy of most of, some bits of course are denied me, that gives 50% of the savings to NSL. And that's meant to reward innovation. But one of the categories of cost that they can have a saving for is staff cost. So when they took over, they sacked the complete back office and re-employed presumably cheaper people in Croydon. And so we're exporting jobs out the borough and paying NSL to take them. It's ridiculous.
It's become clear over recent months that the impetus for the outsourcing programme is not in fact under control. It's not in fact so much with the politicians and councillors or even the cabinet. It seems to be pushed and promoted by the senior management team. Recently we had an example where an admission was inadvertently made that a decision had been made to change the model of one of the outsourcing tenders from what's called a strategic partnership to a joint venture. This is a fairly radical last-minute change, and clearly the decision was made by officers before it had been run by the politicians.
The other thing that I've got to do is to ensure that councillors have got the right sort of advice. So they have good, strong financial advice, they've got sound policy implementation advice, and that they're given a range of options to consider so that they're better able to balance those two needs.
My question is, will the council, before implementing any action involving large sums of money, ensure that all councillors and their advising staff and consultants attend briefings by advisors from the Association for Public Service Excellence, APSE?
The answer to that is not necessarily, but I'm sure that the report has been circulated widely, and it would be a very stupid councillor if they didn't read that report. We should all take on information from others, whether we accept it or not. We should read it.
Thank you.
Outsourcing is not known for delivering savings, and this is not just in the public sector but across the private sector as well. I think I'd like to talk to you about Sainsbury's and Asda and Waitrose and Tesco. The retail sector, 10 years ago, the big retail sector, went through a similar sort of fashion, if you like, for outsourcing for its big back office functions, its IT functions. Without a single, they all failed in the end. Most of the big supermarket chains brought them back in-house, and I recall Asda actually winning an international award for implementing its own SAP system, its own enterprise resource package system for running its IT. Sainsbury's made its first loss ever and it blamed the fact that it was using external IT suppliers for that. I mean, what happened after that, of course, was the likes of IBM, having been rejected by the retail sector, turned their attention to the public sector. And they're selling exactly the same product into the public sector as they were selling into the private sector. There is no evidence at all from anywhere across the world that outsourcing services delivers savings in delivering those services.
APSE and Unison have been seeking a meeting with you and the leader to discuss alternatives. Would you commit to meeting them?
No.
The company Your Choice, they projected, the business plan projected that they would lose £200,000 in the first year. Now we were perfectly, as parents, perfectly happy with the public service. Public servants, we didn't have any problem. I hadn't noticed anybody complaining over the last 40 years about the services that were afforded us. And all of a sudden we were told if it's privatised or partially privatised, it's going to be better, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. And as I say, we didn't get consulted on it, but they considered that they were going to lose £200,000 in the first year. Now the projection for that loss is £700,000. You know, so they're already charging these disabled people everything they can possibly charge for, even £1.20 for a cup of coffee. In a church hall, a spoon of coffee, a spoon of sugar and a drop of hot water, it's costing them £1.20. They're paying to go into halls, in church halls, when there's a purpose-built centre that they could be using. Do you know what I mean? So the concern is all this privatisation and privatisation and privatisation without consultation.
We're being accused of this motion of not consulting the people over it. I refer you to our last referendum, our last election, a resounding majority where we committed ourselves to this process.
My first reaction was just that the council had been taken over by a load of nutters.
Because we're out there in the street every weekend, sometimes in the middle of the week as well, many of our activists. And 99.9% of the people we talk with don't know about One Barnet. I know, I'm starting, when I'm meeting people, I'm starting normally from, have you heard about the One Barnet program of privatisation? Do you know the council is going to privatise almost all the public services? And people say no. And then this, of course, leads to a conversation. And this goes across the board. So we have people stopping and talking with us and signing the petition, including people who say, everyone's appalled and against it. I think I came across maybe 3 people that said, yes, actually, I am for privatization. But all the others are very strongly against it. And some people say, I voted Tory, or I am a member of the Friends of the Conservative Party, or 2 weeks ago we had a funny case when an elderly, respectable gentleman shouted at me, "You will not reproach me. I am a member of the Conservative Party for many years, but I cannot understand this privatization, and of course I will sign this petition." So
I was thinking about, what does One Barnet mean to people? Well, this to me is what One Barnet's all about. It's a magical box, a lovely silver shiny box. And you can see all sorts of different things in this box, and different faces show different things to different people. It's wonderful. But when you look inside, it's a big black hole. It's very, very good. And what we have is a program now where we're going to put things into this big black hole. So we've got things like cemeteries and crematoriums. They're going in the black hole. Building control, really important actually, into the black hole. Environmental health, critical, into the black hole. Regeneration, very controversial, in the black hole. Information services, the council runs all their systems on, into the black hole. Customer services, what you and I and every single way we deal with the council, into the black hole. Procurement, and we all know the problems of procurement, into the black hole. And last of all, a big fat check to consultants, and it's signed, by the way, by Nodding Donkey. That's the impression I get. And the thing is, that goes in there as well. The lid goes on, and that's it. You won't see what goes on in this black box because it's commercially sensitive. Right? We're not allowed to know. We don't know what goes on in there. We don't know anything about the finances, because some of these services may be provided from India or up north in Carlisle, or where they've got their outsourcing centres. But we don't know what's going on in here. And that's what worries me.
There's been major problems, major problems. We're not talking about minor things, we're talking major problems. So that gives us basically a 25% failure rate. And I ask you, if you were going to buy a car tomorrow and the salesperson said, well, yes, it's really good runner, but there's a 25% chance that the wheels are going to fall off sometime next week, you would say, no way, you'd walk away from the deal.
This whole thing of more or less abolishing the council, or abolishing very large sections, is mind-boggling.
Sadly, Barnet is becoming a byword for unscrupulous outsourcing of contracts for the council. have been many campaigns, or big campaigns, against it, and we need to support those campaigns. The amount of the outsourcing, I'm told, is to be £1 billion come the end of this year. £1 billion. Now that's money that you will pay, the Barnet residents will pay, and the jobs that will be provided, of course, will probably not be in Barnet. A lot of the jobs will go to other boroughs or even outside Britain altogether. Now that's a bad deal for Barnet, because you want your rates and the money you put in to go to support the local economy, to go to support Barnet people. And this is not being narrow and excluding others. This is just common sense, that we need local communities to thrive. And the end of that logic that says that the money should go to the cheapest worker is, of course, the money goes to those who eat grass first. The money goes way to other countries where the workers are far more exploited. So really it's a license for exploitation. It's a license to those who will screw the workforce as hard as they can. Now that's not a society we want to live in. It's no way to promote job security. It's no way for people to be able to look forward to being able to buy a house.
I know that the fight's not over yet. This isn't as tough as it will get. But with faith and determination, we'll fight on as one true nation. Don't privatize, revitalize. Stand up and be counted. We can succeed today if we just try. Yeah, we can. We can succeed today if we just try. Yeah, we can. We need to stand for what we believe. Unless we fight, we cannot succeed. We must succeed today if we just try. The future seems so dark and so forlorn, but we are fighting battles that break from the norm. The fact casting that we are dismissed, but unity and strength will win this. Don't privatize, revitalize. Stand up and be counted. We can succeed today if we just try. Yeah, we can. We can succeed today if we just try. Yeah, we can. We need to stand for what we believe. Unless we fight, we cannot succeed. We can succeed today if we just try.